And we go a little something like this. Hit it.
High, large, in charge, and on the air. Welcome to the very first ever Revved Up Sports Show. My name is Showtime Bobby Chaffee, joined as always with my partner in crime, my bromance brother, the Iceman Rodney Rodriguez, here on the inaugural show.
The big debut.
The big debut. Obviously, we've done some similar shows before.
Absolutely.
But this one, I think we found the right format on this particular show this time.
It's only taken us about 3.5 years to get it figured out.
3.5, almost 4.
So,
yeah, just even 6-7 weeks just to get the first show ready to go.
Absolutely. And a couple of, as it is, if we're going to be talking a little bit about racing, a couple of, I don't know if we want to call them rain delays, but a couple of dry runs there. But we finally got it figured out. And today was down to the wire, too. But
it's just one of those things, man. Every time we've ever sat down to try to do this, man, life gets in the way and
absolutely,
everything else. But this is a fun deal. I look forward to the next 9 weeks to see where this thing takes us.
Yeah, I think this will be fun. And we're coming to you. We are actually we're in Round Rock. We can do this wherever we need to do it. I mean, obviously, we'd like to get out and about. Right now, rpmradiotx.com, but this thing can turn into a podcast. It can be whatever we need it to be and whatever you want it to be. So trying to get this thing out to the masses, make it big, and make it a good thing so everybody will enjoy it.
Some of the technical advances in the next 9.5 weeks. Try to get some live phone calls coming in from both the listeners and even try to get some special guests here and there as some of the Texas teams and the like prepare for the what I would call the granddaddy finale of them all, the Snowball Derby.
I see a lot of folks going down there this weekend, so the proceedings are starting. The guys are starting to get dialed in, and of course around here we'll work towards the end of the season. And hope you enjoyed the program. Pass this on once we get it to Facebook and all these other places. Send it around, share it to people, and let's build the audience. And Bobby, like I said, we finally pulled it off.
We did.
Hopefully it all recorded, and we will be good. So, for Showtime, Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, the Revved Up Sports Show. Come back and see us. You'll be glad we got together. Take care, folks.
In the heart of Texas, it's the Revved Up Sports Show on rpmradiotx.com. Here are the guys that make it happen. Showtime Bobby Chaffee and the Iceman Rodney Rodriguez.
Hashtag Real Race Talk from Texas. The Revved Up Sports Show on RevvedUpSportsShow.com and HornFM.com. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
This is Real Race Talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
A lot of variations of that right there, man. Good stuff. 5 freaking years, man.
That's crazy, ain't it?
No. Not today.
Yes, today. Sorry, Matumbo. We are doing it.
5 years to the day, dude.
5 years, man. And, we're all decked out here. I mean, we got the 5 back there behind us and flowers. I mean, thank you. The great one, Tracy Rodriguez, thinking about this, and
I think she had some fun with this one today.
That's impressive. I mean, it's super cool to still be doing this. It's always been. I mean, for us. I mean, so many people ask. I mean, why in the hell? But we got to get that one up.
The little heart balloon, the little anniversary balloon.
Anniversary balloon. Don't want to get it caught up in the ceiling fan here in the studio, but there it is right there. But it's back there somewhere with tape. But man, it has been one hell of a run here, and with this show, I mean, we're going to talk about the stuff going on, but Bobby and I were talking. We thought it'd be a good thing to get a couple of guys back, a couple of our legends back on. I mean, let's get Howard Willis back on. Let's get John Kelly, Cale Westover, a big winner this weekend. But man, there it is.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
I mean,
nothing like live radio. Remember the time the banner fell down behind us?
Oh, yeah. And there's been so many of those. I mean, what a ride it's been. I mean, because we started with, we had, it was a junky mixer. We had 2 shitty headsets, and we had no freaking idea what the hell we were doing.
We had no idea what we were getting into. Who knew? Who knew after 5 years? It's still amazing. Rodney and I have been texting back and forth today talking about all the crazy stuff that happens over 5 years. Don't forget, let us know. We know you guys have been in it for the long haul with us. Let us know some of your favorite moments, your favorite interviews. Let us know in the comments on the Facebook. And don't forget, we're still trying to expand the brand even after 5 years. So go to our Facebook page, hit that like and subscribe button, hit that little bell. It'll let you know every time we're on when we go to go over there on YouTube. So it's trying to expand the brand over there. But look for more YouTube exclusive content coming up on that show, on that side of the world here within the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But still, we love our friends and family on Facebook. You guys are the true Russ Nation over there. We know the people that chime in every week, and we thank you guys for all the fun that you guys have.
And this really has been, from the get-go, it was... we were going to run 9 weeks, do the playoffs or whatever the hell was happening at that point. But to be able to endure this long, and I do take a lot of pride in this, Bobby, because I think you'll agree. I mean, we started this, and the whole thing was, it started out audio, which at the time we were in that real transition between audio versus, when video was really starting to become a big part of it. And, we did all this stupid shit. I mean, we had disco lights going on.
We did.
We did.
A folding table in the studio.
A folding table. We did all this stuff, and we're still in the same place, and everything has transformed to where this is a full-fledged production. There's 1 to 2 cameras happening at one point. It's a full... We're like running 3 computers as this thing is going on. So it really has evolved. I do think that a big part of it was the day that we said, let's go on Facebook Live. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And that's when, we had Colleen and Tiffany and all these people wanting to come in and decorate the studio and do all this shit. But it really has. And I do think, no offense to anybody else, I do think we really led that charge because we were the kind of the innovators of all this. Overnight success. It took a long time. But, now everybody does this. And I really think that we set the mark.
I think we were definitely one of the first ones to do it, and we set a high standard for ourselves. We also set a high standard for everybody else. in terms of the people that are trying to do this stuff. I mean, you see them pop up all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's the one joke we had about podcasts, and I don't know if I've used it on here before, is that podcasts are a lot like kids. They're too easy to make, and not everybody should have one.
Right.
But luckily for us, we've been able to make one of the more entertaining, more useful podcasts because we've done our part to try to help out racing in Texas and racing in general. But we felt like we've done the best we can to keep this racing in Texas alive, especially there on the asphalt side.
Well, and I do think if you go back and trace this whole thing back, when we started in 2016, because I was actually talking to Tracy about this last night. My hair is horrible, by the way. That's one of the reasons I hate the video part, but I'm an old radio guy. If you really go back to this, let's go back to 2016 when we started this. We still had CTS was still going.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to some stuff and I was like talking about how my race had gone, in the dwarf car and all this other stuff. But we really came into this at a pivotal point. And I got to tell you, and thank you everybody. I mean, Shane's checking in there. I was really at a point, Bobby, where myself, when we lost CTS, I was done. I was ready to be finished just because of all the time that we had spent there and just everything that we had done. I was ready to be done. And I can tell you that being a part of this show and yourself, you were one of the driving forces that were like, come on. Let's do something. It really kept me in the sport. And I want to thank everybody and yourself for just kicking me in the ass because I was ready to quit.
Well, it happens. I mean, that's what a good partnership's about, right? Is pushing the other one when the other one's down a little bit. But we persevered. We'll talk to John Melise about it here in a little bit about some of the different iterations of the show before we found the right format.
Sure.
Obviously, we tried the Tower Talker format, and we've seen some old Facebook memories that pop up referencing the Tower Talkers that we started back when we were both racing and announcing all the way back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's just, it's one of those things, the world is all about nothing but a set of timed events and how you react to it. But I think we finally just persevered. As you said, it was supposed to be 9.5 weeks. We're going to cover that the first round of the chase, try to make it more NASCAR centric. And then all of a sudden, boom, it went from NASCAR centric to being, started doing it once a week. And we started, why don't we move this date so we can try to do this on this day? And now it's entrenched in our lives, and most everybody else, because we have people that log in on every Monday night on Facebook or Tuesday night whenever we do it, mainly Mondays. That was one of the things that was determined whether or not we do Monday or Tuesdays or Wednesdays. But it's become a big part of a lot of people's lives, and we appreciate it. We're just a small fraction of what you get to do with racing, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ride as much as we have.
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of it where we really decided at that point that we needed to give back. And I mean, like we said, it started out. Show number 1. Go back and listen to it, and we'll post it. It was a lot of NASCAR talk, but it was really funny how when it all happened, we really did rally the circles for Texas racing, and we've evolved over to dirt. And I just think it's a great thing where so many people come back to us, and we've talked to Freddie Fryer, Slick Yeomans. We're going to talk to 2 guys tonight that we've talked to before in the past. But think about it. Terry Labonte. All of the people that we have talked to.
Mario Andretti.
Mario. So many people that we have talked to on this show. It's just unbelievable that we're able to push that out to people, and that's the best part. It's not about you or me. It's about the sport and pushing this thing out to keep this thing alive.
I think it has been. I think that's one thing that a lot of people think that we just do it so we can have our egos stroked once a week, but that's not one of the reasons we do it. Sure, it's nice when we go somewhere to a racetrack and people say, "Hey, love the show. Love what you guys did. Love the guests you have on." That's awesome, right? Like that's a little bit of vindication for doing what we do. But as far as just doing the show, it's evolved over time, and we just had a hell of a lot of fun. I think that's what it was all about. It was having fun, and when we had fun, the people that were listening were having fun. We get a chance to look at some of the downloads and stuff where we see where some of the different downloads are still coming from on the audio-only podcast. And we've got servicemen and women over in Japan and over in Germany that are sitting here downloading this stuff. And we're totally shocked at the number of Japanese downloads we have, but we're pretty sure it's from the servicemen and women that have been downloading it and listening to it. So if you're listening out there, pop us a line either on the Facebook page or message us on the Facebook page and let us know where you're listening from. Because we try to make sure everybody knows that how proud we are of the men and women that serve this great country.
That's right. It's all about giving back. I mean, it's all about you guys. I mean, it's all about you guys. I mean, we're not doing this. I mean, we're doing this to grow the sport. I mean, that's what it is. Keep it alive. I mean, that's the whole thing about this. But let's go to the hotline. We are going to the hotline for the first time tonight on the 5th anniversary Revved Up Sports Show program, and it really is the guy that really set the tone. I mean, yeah, people know Bobby and I, whatever, we've kind of been the face and the voices of all of this, but had it not been for this dude, had it not been for this guy, the puppet master, John Molise, is the man that I can tell you that put all of this shit together and really made it happen. And man, just so glad to know this guy. Puppet, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, you are too kind and so full of it.
No.
Oh, I love you guys.
No.
Man, it's been
not
too
today.
long. Well, congratulations, year 5. This is amazing. I remember we tried several times to kick this off several different ways, and of course, life happened, and
yep.
I ended up in extreme South Texas, so now here I am in McAllen representing the RGV as it goes, and I'm proud of you. You guys kept it going, and y'all stuck with it, and 5 years later, here you are.
Mm. Yeah, it's strange to know that 5 years. John, back when we were talking about it before you came on, we were talking about the back in the days of the Tower Talker days and stuff like that, and everybody kept telling us how much chemistry there was between Rodney and myself and you and the three of us when we were working at the racetrack down there at Central Texas Speedway, or Thunder Hill as it was then at the time. But it's crazy how, like you said, life gets in the way and everything happened. But I think that the timing has never worked out more perfect than it has right now. Everybody's been able to grow apart, but yet still grow back together.
Absolutely. And going back to the Tower Talker days, I mean, it was, man, I remember, because there was a point in time where the two of you weren't on the mic, and I was briefly involved a little bit during that part. Mm-hmm. And somehow somebody decided to give you two mics at the same time. And I was like, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And hey, I did my best to make you guys sound good, play the tunes, and it was such a good chemistry, just a natural thing that it's amazing how we got picked to travel with TSRS, and we, during some of those traveling races, those dates, we actually were the announcing crew for that track.
Yeah.
That's just how good the chemistry was, and how exciting it was, and how much fun the crowd seemed to have when we were kind of as it goes, running the show. Mm-hmm. Lots of good memories there. And yeah, we started off as the Tower Talkers, and now it's evolved into this. Yeah. And I nowhere to go but up from here.
Yeah. And John, I have to tell you, man, because it was so much, so important for me. I mean, because I would sit and watch you. I mean, because Bobby and I sit there and talk and do whatever. But I mean, your work, you were so methodical with what you do. Just to sit there and it's not so much about rolling up chords. I mean, everything that you do. I mean, you have taught me so much, and I think that I'm so blessed that you have that I got to watch you. Dude, I'm so grateful for what you have taught me, dude.
Oh man, you were a good study. You learned quick, and heck, I was just the producer, but
shit.
I'm very proud of both of you for taking this on, especially during the last year. I kept up with how things kind of evolved with COVID, and kind of being at home more, and the separation, and then of course you guys, I mean, what we're doing now, I mean, I've always thought about it being cool to bring in a phone line, but heck, you do it all the time now, and you've even pioneered your own technology there. So, hey, kudos to you, my man.
Well, lots of trial and error, dude. But
lots of trial and error.
Yeah, learning on the fly.
I mean, yep, and then being able to do shows from different locations at the same time. That was cool. So you've taken it far, above and beyond where I started. So kudos to both of you for that.
It's awesome.
He's got me thinking about the.
Oh, and sorry about the shitty headsets.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was your fault.
Sorry about the shitty headsets.
That was your fault at the beginning, wasn't it?
Well,
I just meant that because it was one ear.
That's right.
Those good old
we got to start somewhere, right?
Good old Stantons, man. Good old Stantons. Those were mine. Well, he had his, and I had
my
mine.
set. I still have my Stanton somewhere.
Yeah. But they don't sell those anymore. They don't sell those anymore. I wish they did.
Oh, really?
No, you can't find them. Dude. Cannot find them.
That was a good workhorse for the time, man.
Dude, that's a DJ headset right there.
It is more expensive to get 2 ears.
Yeah. Well, John, you and I with those DJ headsets, with those shitty headsets that I talked about, we did some pretty damn good parties in Austin, Texas. With those.
Oh yeah, we did that too. That was our side gig. Yeah,
that was a side thing. Yeah.
That was a side gig to help pay for stuff like this.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now it's the radio stuff. Pays for the radio stuff, right?
That's right.
No, John, you got me thinking about when that time we were the announcing crew for Corpus, where we took over their whole announcing stand that night. I think that was the night. I think that was the night that the orange and white Blue Deuce became a thing.
Yeah.
I remember that when we got to do now. It was so straight. Now it's not anything uncommon to see one of us out in front, one of us to see us out in front of the fans. But back then, when we announced that one street stock race from the flag stand over the little overhang there at Corpus, everybody thought it was the greatest thing ever because they weren't used to seeing an announcer outside.
That's true. That's something that I'm thankful we had when we were back in the Thunder Hill days, having those wireless mics and putting you guys out in the crowd, because I think ultimately that's what helped make, form some of these bonds and some of these, I still, you're talking about that Corpus race. I only have 2 words for you. Hello, Walls.
Yeah.
That dude, that right there. Who was that plastered that car on the wall? And I'm sitting there trying to play this thing down. I mean, because I'm hoping the guy's okay. And you come up with "Hello, Walls." I'm like, oh shit.
Sorry. I was like, and y'all were like giving me the cut it. Oops.
Good stuff, man.
That was a fun time.
That was awesome.
But one time that always sticks with me, and it's been fun to watch him go on and do some great things. And in fact, winning. When one time after a show at Houston, a young Jake Wright walks up and says, I've got an idea for a nickname." And we were like, "Okay, what is it?" And he said, "The Showstopper."
Yep.
And it's stuck ever since.
Yep. You and my wife and Bobby are the only ones that know that. And she always brings that up. She's like, he named himself.
He's the only one other than us that named it. I mean, I named myself Showtime, but the Showstopper is the only one that came up with it and said it came in on his own.
Yeah.
It fit for him at the time, and it was perfect. It was perfect for him at the time, and it's been fun to, even as, since then, to watch him mature and evolve and just grow into this, amazing racer, amazing driver. I mean, it was fitting, and I think it's still fitting today.
Yeah. So, John, let me ask you, because one of the things, like when I go to a track, they're like, hey, can you play, whatever. You really were the one, because you put the whole show together. I mean, because back in the day at THR, when I got to join you and Bobby, you were the one that you play this music. I mean, just right on key, for stuff. I mean, whatever would happen. And that was unheard of back in the day. I mean, what was your driving force there to really make this thing be just a full packaged up presentation?
Well, a lot of it, I took ideas from you guys, on that. And, I got to give credit where credit's due, because I have to say Christine actually helped me pick out some of that stuff originally. But then, I just took it and ran with it. Like for example, having a specific song for a class. So you knew when the song started playing, even if the cars weren't on the track, by the end of the season, you knew which cars were about to come out if they weren't out already. And I think by doing that, it kind of helps set the stage for every single, kind of breaking up the race in the segments, right?
Yep.
And kind of introducing the next class and getting the crowd hyped up, getting you guys hyped up. Because when you guys got hyped, the crowd got hyped, and it was just an all-out entertaining place to be.
Yeah, John.
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I think part of that though was your feeling for it. There's still people now that as soon as they hear Metallica's fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire, they picture the modifieds coming over turn number 2. Hell, even I do it, and it's been 15 years since that happened, and I still remember that. That's what I visualize when I hear those songs. So I think you were instrumental in making that happen. I think that I still think that it's
sure.
more of a, I don't think you give yourself enough credit for being the one to time that, because we can do all we can with the voice, but sometimes that music was the integral part that made it really even that much better.
It really was.
Well, thank you, gents. To me, it was all about, what we were doing there. It was all about putting on a show. Mm-hmm. Just adding that, the main part of the show is out on that track.
Yeah.
The drivers, that's the show. But to add any kind of other flavor or add the sound, add the soundtrack to it, something that I've always kind of, I know it's kind of silly. You think about things you do in life, and you might be like riding your bike one day and you get this one song in your head and, your soundtrack, kind of helping to identify some of that and put some of that to the classes, to the drivers. There were certain drivers, if they ever, brought home the checkers, they'd get a special song played because it was something about them or something. And getting to know a lot of the drivers back then and spending time, after the races, before the races when I could, very, very rare that I got to do that. But, definitely after the races, spending time to get to know a lot of the drivers and get some of the personalities. I mean, I think that really added to what we did as a team to improve the value of that show.
It was. It really set the mark. I mean, because you look around the country now, people are doing all this fancy stuff, and my man, you are the one that really laid it out. We just talked. So, yeah, always grateful, dude. You made this happen, buddy. You made it happen.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad to see you guys are still keeping up with it. I really am. And, hey, it's been 5. Here's to another 5.
Absolutely.
That's right. Cheers.
Yep. Right on.
Cheers.
John Melise, the puppet master, the man that made it happen. Man, always a pleasure, dude. We've got to get down your way. I wish we still had the McAllen Miller Nationals. Oh, my God.
Hey,
dude.
That would have been cool, man. That would have been cool. Would be cool.
That'd be
hey,
so
you
fun.
never know. It still could happen one day, but just. And hey, I've been known to make trips up and out and north of South Texas, on request if needed. So.
Well.
Keep that under your hat.
I can tell you, the guy that produces this show needs help because he sucks. So he would love to see you, my friend. He would love to see you come on up here.
Amen.
John, you are the man, brother. We love you, man. Thanks for everything, buddy.
Love you guys too.
All right, man.
And we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah.
I'll be up there very soon. So we'll see you very soon.
Sounds good. Safe travels, dude.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
Enjoy.
Yep.
All right, John.
Bye. Take care. From Command Central. Oh, oops. It is John Melise. That was a guy. And that was a funny thing, like when people would be like, hey, can you play whatever? I'm like, no.
No, that's
I have no clue.
Asking the wrong person. Yeah,
I have no clue as to what's going to be played, with any of that. But we've got Howard Willis is going to be calling here in just a second. But I think, Bobby, one of the things that we need to talk about, and we'll get into the hashtag Real Race Talk here at some point. But man, I'm a little disappointed on people beating up on Cotton Bowl. That's a hard job, man. That is a hard job.
The one thing we know, the one consistent thing that we've known over 5 years is that racers are just never happy.
Right. Right. And we keep seeing it, and it keeps coming up once again, and I don't know. Well, we'll get back to that. But anyway, anniversary edition. Things are happening really, really fast, and like we said, we wanted to talk to just important people and folks that are legendary, and bring them back. And when we look at the dirt track world, and he did it at Texas World Speedway on the pavement, it is man, the legend, the living legend, still doing it. Howard Willis, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How about y'all?
We are doing well, sir. We are celebrating. We got flowers on the desk and all this other stuff. It's
balloons,
yeah, balloons. It's a good night. It's a good night. Everything good for you, sir?
Yes, everything's good.
Love it.
The weather's supposed to get cooler.
Oh, can't wait.
I can't either.
Yeah, that's a very good thing.
So, Howard, I just got to ask, how do you still continue to kick ass after all these years? That's the one thing that you're like the Iron Man. You just keep going. You keep winning races. You keep teaching. You keep taking these kids to school. Hell, you take some of the adults to school when you go racing. What's been the mainstay, man? How have you been able to stay on top for as long as you have? And I mean that in a good way.
I don't know. Like I said last time, I think I just do cherry picking more than anything. But
yeah.
I mean, if you raced what I've been doing this year, I just raced at one racetrack. So after 2 or 3 weeks, you get your car lined out pretty good. So it's fast. I mean, it's about as fast as you're going to get it probably.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had a really good year. I've been 14 times and in the limited and won 8 of them. And in those 14 times, I drove a Outlaw Street Stock 5 times and won 2 of those. So
nice.
So we've been doing good.
Yep. And let's talk about that one racetrack there, Howard. I mean, that's one of the things where it's okay to do that. I mean, just support one track. They're doing good things there. I really like the future happening out there.
Yes, the racetrack is actually what they're doing. They've been working on it all year long, trying to get it where it's more than just one lane. Because, I mean, last year and the year before and the year before that, it's just been right around the bottom, nothing on the top. So what they've been doing is leaving the cone or the tires out pretty much in the middle of the racetrack for the heat races. And then when the features start, they move them down to the infield.
Nice.
Well, that gives you a lane on top for a while. And then everybody migrates to the bottom, and then they get enough dust on the top that it's not as good. But there's some nights, there was a couple of weeks ago, me and Bubba Gates, we ran side by side for 20 laps.
Love it.
So it really made it good. And he actually ended up winning, by about a car length, and he ran the top most of the way. And I ran the bottom and the top at the first half, and then I just went to the bottom just trying to get a path beat in good enough to where I could get by him, and I think I just screwed up a couple of times and just let him beat me by, just that car length. So
yeah,
but it's been good. I mean, they've got a big scoreboard up there, and they got electronic scoring, and they've got the electronic lineup and all of that stuff. So you don't even really have to leave the trailer. You can do it all at your trailer and just watch the races, and everything works good.
Yep.
So, Howard, as long as you've been racing, how cool is that to see the evolution of a racetrack when it gets a new promoter and new management? Isn't it cool to kind of see? I mean, it wasn't that they started with a blank slate over there, but they had, they kind of, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but they had a lot to prove and a lot to get right over there from some of the previous management over there. How cool has it been to see that evolution from the end of, from the end of last season to the beginning of this season and all the way to now?
Yeah, it's really cool because, that's the only racetrack we got left right now. So, and it was really probably wasn't my most favorite one of the ones we had around here.
Right.
But now it's got to where, I enjoy going out there. It's a good time because you can start mid-pack and work your way up through there to the front, where used to, if you wasn't on the front row, it was tough to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it makes it nice.
Yeah. Yep, that is a tough thing right there, and a good evolution there with the racetrack. So Howard, I mean, you've done this for so long, and we talked, the last time around. So for you, still doing this, I mean, because we talked to so many legendary drivers on this track, you're still involved. The evolution, I mean, how much has this changed in your eyes? I mean, there are so many different factors, but man, is it night and day now compared to back in the day, as we like to talk about?
Yeah, it is. I mean, used to, well, it's kind of like they said yesterday about Kevin Harvick and Chase talking after the race. They said that was kind of old school. That's how it used to be at the racetrack too. Nowadays, everything's put on the web so you can read what everybody's thinking about everybody. Well, back in the day, it wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you took it out on each other. But when I first started racing, it was a pretty cutthroat deal. I mean, you almost had to be a good fighter to even get out there and race with them guys, because at the end of the night, it might be, I mean, you had heavy cars. Our cars weighed over 3,000 pounds because we had so much iron on them to take the beating that we took.
Yep.
But nowadays, I mean, it's all lightweight. You go buy everything. Nobody builds nothing like they used to. I mean, some of us still, like the car I'm running right now. I mean, I've been pretty fortunate. It's 5 years old,
nice.
And I mean, it's still in fairly decent shape. But all the last 3 or 4 years, I've only run pretty much just a half a season. I kind of hate that I missed the deal up at Texas this past week. I should have went up to that deal, but the last time out, we broke the motor that we've been using for a good while. It broke a rod bolt, so it kind of put me behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Howard, what's your take on those big shows?
What we've been doing this year is it kind of got around to June or July, and I showed Chris, I said, look at the points here. I said, we're not that far out of the point deal. I said, we need to win one more championship. He said, well, he said that you've won a whole bunch. I said, yeah, but we haven't won one in this decade yet.
That's right.
That's right.
I love it.
But because I've won them in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. And that would make it in the 2020s. That would be 6 different decades that I won a track championship. But I don't think it's going to work out because it rained. They rained it out this weekend. Next weekend, I'm going to Vegas on vacation, which we've had planned for like 6 weeks. So, and then the week after that, we're going to go to the Enduro. So I got a feeling I'm going to miss enough that I'm not going to be able to pull it off. But there's always next year.
That's right. That's right.
So, Howard, what's your take on these big shows? You talked about feeling bad that you're missing the big show at TMS. Are those shows, is it, I get that when they pay lots of money, it's really cool if you win, but is that one of those where, is it the risk worth the reward? I mean, obviously you have the advantage of everybody else, a lot of other people, because you've been doing it so long and have all that experience, but some of the people that are just now starting to get in there want to go, and they're like, hey, it's Texas Motor Speedway, the world is watching, and I want to go and flat-foot it around there and win it on the first lap. Are those shows worth going to, or is it just like any other race where you have to just watch out for everybody else? You can't just pay attention to yourself?
I think most of them shows, like I've always said about a big show, it's like taking the fastest 2 guys from any racetrack, and they all end up right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're not racing losers. You're racing winners.
The best.
Up there. And it's a tough deal because, like the limited cars, I mean, they're all supposed to be about the same speed. So, I mean, you get out there and you run side by side, bumper to bumper, and they're not as easy as sometimes it looks. You know, sometimes you get one guy that he just dominates the whole deal. But it's a tough deal. And like you say, it's not worth, I mean, if you ain't got a lot of money, you don't need to be there. And that's always been my case. I really hadn't had a lot of money to go and waste on that deal.
Yeah.
Now that I'm on Social Security, hell,
Now you really ain't got no money.
Don't pay. Yeah, that don't pay very good. My wife told me the other day, she said, I think you're going to have to get a job.
Oh, shit. Walmart greeter. Howard Willis at the
kidding.
Walmart. Oh, my God. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So Howard, what do you think? I mean, one of the things that we've talked about on the show, I mean, we with the factory stocks, I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, we see so many folks gravitating over to that. I mean, just your thoughts on that division. It's growing, and, folks are spending a lot of damn money to go race those cars.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Well, a factory stock's almost like a limited. I mean, you still got to have the motor, the transmission, the rear end. I mean, all of it's the same. It's just a bigger car. The tires are cheaper, but if you want to run up front, you still have to have a pretty new tire.
Right.
Which a lot of them, I'm sure, if I was going to do it, I would take them buy brand new ones and scuff them up before I got there. So
for sure,
because they're going to be a lot better. Which I ran a factory stock once this year. I had Camo called me and said, "Hey, come get this car," and we worked on it for almost 2 weeks. And we got it all ready, and then right when we got ready to leave, it had a brand new motor in it. And then I drove it down the street, and I come back, and I said, "This thing ain't running right." And it had a lobe go flat on the cam.
Ah, shit.
So that was the day before the race, and so we ended up, the only cam I had to put in it was out of an old stock motor. So we had plenty of vacuum. We had 21 inches of vacuum, but we didn't have no power.
Yeah, not good.
No, not good. But the car was good. It drove good. I just didn't have enough speed.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty much a full contact sport though in those cars.
Yeah.
They do a lot of hammering.
Yeah, they do.
Howard, is it crazy to know they get that much horsepower on the ground with asphalt pull-offs? I mean, that's the one thing that's mesmerized me. And then you get into the talk about all the different types of tracks where a lot of places that run factory stocks like to run dry slick.
Well, and the whole rules. I mean, it's like stock. I mean, stock rocker arms. I mean, they don't run headers. I'm like, how do they go so damn fast?
It's kind of like riding a go-kart. You just can't let it slow down. You just have to keep it rolling. Well, it'd be like a fat guy riding a go-kart, where you don't slow down through the corners. You just keep going. But they go good. I mean, the tires, they're asphalt pull-offs, but they are 10 inches wide. Where, I mean, the limited is about half the tire on the ground versus those.
Yeah.
And most of the time when they're racing, it's dry slick. So the main thing is, as long as they don't get up on top of the dust, if they get the track cleaned off, they're hooked and going. Even in the enduros, the guys that run the slicks on the 10-inch wheels are really fast. It's just at the beginning of the race when it's a little bit muddy, then they kind of suffer on that part. But but they're all on the same thing, so that makes it even.
That's right.
Howard, let's talk about track prep for a minute. A couple of tracks been getting a lot of hammering on Facebook and social media about a one groove hammer down track versus the normal dry slick track that it normally is. What's your take on that? Are people getting too sensitive about the racetrack, or is it one of those where they just need to show up and race and be quiet on the internet?
Well, the internet to me kind of sometimes ruins a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of things are said that don't need to be said by a lot of people that don't even race.
Yep.
So I mean, the hammer down racetrack is okay early in the night, but you still need to have it to where there's a lane on the top and the bottom as the night goes on. Otherwise, you're not going to have a real good race.
Yep.
Beaumont. We had Beaumont down there early in the night. If you started in the back of the heat, sometimes you just was in the back of the heat and you started in the back of the feature because you couldn't pass. You could roll in there high, cut across coming off of 2 and 4, and the guy behind you has nowhere to go but in the same line that you're running, so you're not going to pass anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get it to where there's a dry slick spot through the middle, and you got a little tack on the top and a little tack on the bottom, then you got some guys that can roll the bottom really good and some guys that can ride the cushion good. So I think that's a better racetrack.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
our dry slick from top to bottom, is good too, as long as they use the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. And how important is that, Howard? I mean, when you're out there driving, I mean, to be able to read the racetrack. I think guys, I know when I tried dirt, I would just like go out there and drive. But you have to be able to read the racetrack and see what the racetrack is doing. I think that's so pivotal in dirt track racing.
Yes, you gotta know what you're looking at, and a lot of times, most of the time, I'll go up there a race or two before mine. And then I'll watch the cars in the other races, and I'll see if the guy on the outside's making any time on the guy on the bottom or vice versa. That way, when you fly off into the first corner, at least you know where the car is going to go, if you're going to have speed or if you're not going to have speed, or if you're going to push or whatever. But you got to know what the track's doing. Otherwise, you can't get the car set up right to make it work right. Like, we got the option to go with 3-wheel brakes or 4-wheel brakes before the race. We can't change it once we get out there. And if you take and leave it on 3-wheel brakes like we run most of the time in the heat race, you get out there in the feature and it's slick enough getting in the corner, you're just steadily working to keep from spinning out going in the corner when you get on the brakes.
Wow.
So it's real important on the setup. If you got to know what the track's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of knowing what a track's going to do, you mentioned it a couple of times, this big enduro race coming up, the Lone Star 600. How do you prepare for that? Is that just bring what you got and hope the track stays together? I mean, that seems like a total different animal than your normal weekly short track run.
Yeah, 300 laps with 150 cars starting. And it's like one of them NASCAR deals now.
Yeah.
You don't qualify, you don't hot lap, you don't do nothing. You just go out there and hope your car turns when you get to the corner. And if you got a good driving car, I mean, you've actually got to set the car up kind of free so that it will run on the top, on the bottom, in the middle, where you can change lanes as the race goes on, because you might pass 3 or 4 cars around the bottom, and then you got 6 of them running the bottom. So then you got to move out a lane and pass them on the outside. But it's going to get dry. Mm-hmm. They start out just a little bit wet. Just all they're trying to do is just keep the dust down to where it's not terrible. And then, but it's going to get dry. And as the race goes on, then you got to make sure you don't chew the tires off of it so that you've got tires at the end of the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you start out running 50 mile an hour, I think. And like I had one of my sons, he sat up in the stands one year with his wife, and he said, I can do that. As the race went on, he said, I can do that. And he said, Dad ain't doing nothing I can't do. And then the last 100 laps, we picked the pace up, because we had 6 or 8 of us that was running really hard. And he said, no, I can't do that. You got to have a car. You got to have a car that'll run when the last 100 laps comes out.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about the market you're in. I mean, obviously you've got the track you're racing at right there. I mean, great racetrack. These guys are doing a good job. You've got the asphalt track there, Gina, trying to do stuff at Houston. I mean, wouldn't it be, man, I would think that Houston would be such a great racing market if we could get this thing all put together somehow.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal is about Houston, but I think that there's too much to do here.
Yeah.
I think people have got too many options to go do something, and do you want to go sit at a racetrack and get dirty all night?
That's true. That's a great point.
And it's got to be a diehard fan that goes and does that. And because you can go play bingo and win you $500 or $1,000. if you
Great point.
hit the deal, I mean, on a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot easier than sitting in the grandstands at the dirt track and getting all dirty. What I've actually done, I took the school car that we had, and I've carried it out there the last 3 or 4 weeks out to the racetrack to give some of the fans a ride, after the race and at intermission. Somebody won a deal in the grandstands, and I gave them a ride at intermission the last weekend that we raced, so that they know what it feels like to ride in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's not going to hurt anything, but I don't know if it's going to help or not. If make people come to maybe they got a shot at riding in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them may not want to ride in the car with me,
I don't think I'd like to. Howard.
You don't? Well, come on out there. I'll give you a ride.
Oh man, I would actually love that.
It's
I
exciting.
would love that. I think that would be awesome.
So what's the hardest part about getting a fan to a racetrack? Is it the hardest part getting them there the first time or keeping them there for the second time?
I don't know. The way they've been running the races here, I think just getting them there the first time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's been so hot, that doesn't help anything. I mean, it's been miserable at the racetrack. I mean, they've been starting at 7, and I've always been under the influence or been under the thought thinking that
influence
when the sun goes down, that's when the first heat needs to roll out.
Good point.
That way the racetrack will stay wet and all of that. You can run the hot laps with the sun shining a little bit, but it really needs to be about 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit later. But then that keeps them to where they're there till midnight or 1 o'clock.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've been doing is starting at 7, and all the heat races are run in the daytime, and then for sure it's dry slick after that. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's the heat doesn't help us any, but it's going to cool off now, so it's going to be better. But then it's going to get cold, and I ain't got no answers. I've been there a long time, and I don't know the answer.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, Howard, how long are you going to do this? And thanks for being a part of our anniversary show here. I mean, we're trying to get back, our favorite folks back in here that have been so instrumental with the racing. How long are you going to race? I mean, you just keep doing it, and you're still good.
No, I'm not as good as I used to be, though.
Wow.
But what I try to do now is I try to load the car up after the race with nothing really tore up real bad.
Nice.
So I don't have to work really, really hard. But I've actually got a brand new car that we're putting together right now. I guess it's a brand new car. It's like the chassis itself is 5 years old, but it's never been put together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually getting it to where we can possibly run it out of town, and then we'll use the one that we have right now that we're using where we can run it in town next year some. So maybe I can go to some of the other shows, and then after that, then I might be done,
No.
But I'd like to go to the Cotton Bowl and run some of the races over there. But the car I got, I mean, is okay, but I think I'd have to squeak through some of the tech area after the race. So but
I love that. It's good stuff.
But it's pretty much legal, but the gray area here and the gray area there, but
yeah.
But we've got it to where it's right. But the other one, it's going to be right on the money, so it can go somewhere else. And then we'll have a different gear in it, because I think I run a different gear here than I need to run anywhere else. I've been to Edna with this gear, and I run out of motor just about the flag stand.
Right.
So I run out a mile per hour by the time I get to the corner. And then when I let off the gas, then the rear wheels really want to slow it down. So for some reason I can run good in the heat race down there, but I just can't do nothing in the feature. I mean, I run okay. I just don't run good enough to win.
Yeah.
And then like I say, I like to go to the Cotton Bowl. They have the races over at Manny now on Friday nights. I like to slip over there and run on Friday night and stuff. And I probably got another year for sure, but after that, I mean, I'm already old. and I'm just getting older.
Oh, Howard, but you keep getting better, my man. I mean, you were one of the guys that we talk about. You know, we talk to all the great guys on here, but you were still doing it and still winning, and I think that's so cool. And there's folks checking in. Used to watch you at Big H. I mean, I think we even had somebody talking about Texas World. I mean, it's great stuff, man. What a career! What a career you've had.
Yeah. You know how long Texas World was ago? That was a long, long time ago. That was
93, 92.
What?
Yeah.
In 93, it was when I won that race. That's almost 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, I was young then.
Well, you still drive like a young man.
I wish I was that age again.
Well, you still drive it like you stole it, my friend. It is so cool to have you a part of this. And, man, keep doing it, buddy. Don't quit. We got to keep following you.
Well, thanks for following me, and thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad I could be part of this. This was a good times.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Howard, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk again soon, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Okay. All right.
All right. Take care.
No, all right. You too. Thank you.
You bet. There he is, Howard Willis. He ain't quitting.
Like I said, I ran okay, but I didn't run enough to win. His okay is better than 3/4 of the people out there.
That dude, he is not quitting. I mean,
I would like to see.
I have one more year.
I would like to see him get the track championship. That would be awesome to have 6 decades of a track championship.
Yeah.
You know, I know he likes to cherry pick and run the bigger races, but he's found a home at that track he's at right now over there. He's done really well.
Best text, Earl Baxter. Don't let him fool you. He's still a badass behind the wheel. I mean, he always has been. He's just so good. I mean,
everything he gets in is fast and winning.
I think that's the coolest part about talking to Willis is it's like he still does it. And man, what a dude. What a dude. And he's sharp as a tack, man. Like, boom, boom.
And he's one of the favorites to win the 600 again.
I know. He probably will. That's going to be fun. I mean, what a show right there. I mean, that we could quit right there and be good, but we still have so much more to come.
Lots of stuff coming.
Yeah. 5 years, Bobby. It's been a long time, buddy.
Been a hot minute. He's right. It's been a long time. I think we've had him on once or twice already.
One prior time. And
that was the Legend interview. I think we had him on for like an hour.
Yeah, but I do have to say, you know, I think one of the things that really, you know, was big for us. I think you and I both, when we talked, it was like, we got to talk to Freddie Fryer.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to talk to him. And we've reposted that, you know, a couple of different times. But how big was that night? I mean, what a night talking to the Beaumont Flyer.
I think that was one of those surreal moments where, you know, we talked about it when the show first started. It was like, if we could get Freddie Fryer, then that would be the epicenter of the show. That would be the highest point that the show could go. And we got him, and it was such a surreal moment. I mean, we were one of the last people to talk to him in a full-length sit-down interview. I mean, we had him, luckily for us, he gave us an hour of his time.
It's probably one of the last ones he did.
Yeah, probably one of the last ones he did, and it was so cool just to listen to the stories that he had. You know, the way Pops, I think is what Jared calls him, had some of those great stories. He was still sharp as a tack then. You know, he could remember all different kind of stuff, remember where he was racing here and there and everywhere else. And I got to say, like, it was... I remember one of the few times when that was over, that's one of the few times we actually fist bumped when we got done with the interview.
Yeah.
Because that was how cool that was. And then, obviously, we got to do I like the one we did with Slick. I think that was a very, very popular one. The one with Terry Labonte was a very popular one. And I think it was great when we got to talk to the guys to me, the golden age of super late model racing in Texas was the late 80s into the early 1990s with Neil Upchurch's TIDA.
Yeah.
We've even had a chance to talk to the late, great Neil Upchurch a couple of times on this show about him running the Texas International Drivers Association and some of the stuff with the pro sedans and the super late models. So, you know, if you hadn't had a chance, the archive is very thick. There's a lot to go through, but especially the audio archives. The Facebook stuff's a little harder to get a hold of because some back in the day, Facebook said that we were using copyrighted music when we'd run an intro
Well,
too long. But
stupid ass producer. He didn't know what he was doing. So,
yeah, it happens. Producer learns after a while.
But I thought it was funny with Terry because Terry, he had. I think he said he put 25 minutes. Allotted 25 minutes for this interview.
Yeah.
And then everything got going, and we started talking about Highway 16 and CC Speedway and all this other stuff. He calls me afterwards. He's like, I was so intrigued by everything that I had forgotten. And I was so excited to talk about Texas racing, and I think that's really the thing. I mean, we've talked to Matt Dillner. Dale Jr. has told me this, that we are, living this thing up for Texas racing, and that's really our charge is, man, it's been hard. It's been hard, but we're trying to save this thing.
It's hard, but we are trying to save it. And it's so great when we get to talk to the heroes, the guys that you got to watch when we were kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Including one of them tonight.
Yeah. We're going back again. We've talked to him once before, and we're about to do it again. I mean, who didn't? Who did not like that green number 57? The man they all chased. He was so damn good, and he is joining us once again. We'll finish that conversation. Remember, we had some whatever. But back to the hotline. The great John Kelly. John, how are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. How y'all doing?
Man, we're better now that you're here.
I got me a new flip phone, so hey, maybe we won't have no errors.
Well, we've upgraded our phone system here too. So again, we're learning. It's been 5 years. We're trying to figure it all out. So John, what's going on for you nowadays, sir?
Oh, just enjoying my garage, building rat rods, hot rods, and street rods. I just not doing a whole lot, just other in the garage.
Yeah.
Enjoying what I like.
Love it.
So, John, one time we got to talk to your good friend Greg Davidson, and we asked him who one of his biggest rivals was, and his comment was that John Kelly and I always had our cars connected by magnets. And you guys used to put some really good shows on. Talk about those days of racing with Greg Davidson.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, he was one of the threats that always showed up. If he got in front, he won. If I got in front, I won. He was awesome, but it was racing.
Yeah.
It's sad what happened to him, but he's still a good friend and he's good.
Yeah. So, John, do you connect with these old guys? Older guys. I mean, your competitors. I mean, do you talk to Slick? I mean, do you talk to Greg? I mean, all of these folks that are still with us. Do you guys ever reminisce and talk about the old days when y'all were out there just kicking each other's asses?
No, truthfully, no. Only one that I've really talked to before he passed away is Rick Revved out of Corpus.
Damn.
I talk to him quite often, and but no, I haven't talked to Slick or Greg, any of them guys, and since racing days, I guess.
Gonna have to get them all back together.
But
yeah, round table coming up.
Yeah.
Yep, need to. I know they tried to have a races reunion out here a couple of times, and it seemed like nobody could make it. It was always on a Sunday, which nobody can drive 200-300 miles to a reunion and drive back.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat. A few people showed up, not a whole lot.
That's tough.
So, John, we were talking about when we interviewed Terry Labonte, talking about his rivalry that he had with Rick Rapp back in the day, and you just mentioned Rick Rapp. Talk about his effect on racing in Texas. Every time you talk to somebody, we're like, who was one of the best? Who was one of the best? Your names pops up a bunch, but a lot of people talk about Rick Rapp. What's your take on him and what he brought to the Texas racing community?
Rick Rapp was awesome in Corpus. You go down there and outrun him, just like anybody comes to San Antonio, they come and outrun me. We become good friends, and it's if he showed up, you best have your stuff together, or you get outrun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One year, I don't remember what it was. Time flies by, but we ran Texas World Speedway, the road course, and I had to show up. I think it's the first time I've been up there, and it was TIDA, and I beat Rick out of point by 3 points in the road race for the championship that year.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
He was awesome. It was good racing back then.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it is now. It's so many dollar signs now on a race car. It's unreal.
Yeah. So, John, let's talk about that. I mean, because that's one of the things that I'd love to get your input, with you guys, with the Kelly brothers. I mean, you guys, you did it out of pocket. I mean, you built your chassis, you did everything. How crazy is it that asphalt racing has become what it is now, where it's so dependent on money? And, man, it's out of budget for regular people.
It is. The biggest thing is the kids nowadays, the parents got the money,
Yep.
Back then, nobody had any money. And like you said, even the other drivers, Rick Rapp and all them guys, they did all their own homework, did their own engine building and everything. And nowadays, you pick up telephone, you order an engine, you order a car, and you go racing.
Yep.
It depends on how deep your back pocket is.
Yeah, that sucks.
So, John, what's the biggest change with today? Are you able to go back and think about, obviously the money, the cubic dollars is what's changed a lot, but I mean, when did it start changing? Was it at the end of the 90s? Was it at the beginning of the 2000s? I mean, when did you start seeing the shift where it became, where the average everyday garage warrior wasn't able to keep up with the big checkbook of mom and dad?
Well, we ran the All-Pro Series in 91, and that's when we had Tom Mitchell out of Ozona, Texas. First sponsor. Money was no object then, but I was 46 years old at that time. Seemed like after we ran the All-Pro season, when we came back to run TIDA and these other races, the money, that's about the time it started happening, about 92, 93, what it seems like.
Yeah.
So, the same thing too, we try to do our own pocket. You can't do it when you got to run a set of tires for 2 or 3 races and everybody else is putting new tires on per race. It's hard to match it.
Yeah, that's tough. So, John, let's talk about, since the last time we talked to you, we've lost Neil Upchurch. I mean, how big was that guy? I mean, he was an asshole. I mean, he laid it into me several times with my announcing stuff. But talk about how influential he was for Texas racing.
He was awesome. I mean, probably the only one that really had something for racing. If he could afford see down the road, the amount of cars we was having, the grandstands are getting packed. If he would kind of raise the purse a little bit, it might have made a difference. The winner always gets the money. That 10th place on back, what you got to look at to get your cars out. But any racetrack's that way. You just got to take care of the people that don't run up front all the time. But Neil Upchurch was awesome. I mean, he's a personal friend. He wasn't an asshole, but he was a personal friend. It's just, but, I mean, he was a great guy.
Yeah, he was.
John, was it crazy to think about back in the day when you guys would pack in San Antonio, have every seat filled up, and everybody was coming there to watch you guys? Basically, a lot of people were coming in to watch them and seeing how well they were going to be able to come outrun you on them high banks down there on Highway 16.
Well, if we knew what we was doing back then, it'd be a different story. We went out there to race, it's technology, I guess, more than anything. And when you homeschool everything yourself and go out there and do quite well, then it's something. Let's take Highway 16. It was not a beginner's racetrack.
No.
There were so many race cars out there torn up, destroyed, and it's sad to say, but there's a lot of people that kept on racing if the track was a little bit different. Where you can race the racetrack.
Yeah.
It's just so many cars got torn up.
Yeah. That's right. So, John, I don't know if you've had the chance to watch the Lost Speedways thing there where they talk about the whole dispute where the way 16 got built versus, with Ricky out there at Pan American. I mean, walk us through that. I mean, because you were a part of that. I mean, you had Pan American out there, then you had 16 that was getting built. I mean, your thoughts on all of that as it happened, because you lived through it.
Okay. When I heard they were building Highway 16 and Ricky was still open, we had the race car to run the quarter-mile racetrack for Ricky. Mm-hmm. We ran the first year at Pan American Speedway, Ricky's track, when Highway 16 opened. And then Ricky was saying he's going to close down, and that's when we decided to jump to Highway 16.
Yep.
I was still 20-something years old, and I didn't care where we went. Well, right. And we went to Highway 16. We was green behind. I mean, we was didn't know what we were doing. It took a year or two, and we finally built our own cars, and we figured it out. The first year, I took my Pan American car, quarter mile car, out there and raced, and we crashed and got hurt pretty bad and quit. My brother said, "Let's build another one." I said, "Well, I don't know. I ain't gonna spend no money, and you won't have to." I said, "All right, let's do it." And then that's when we built the first good race car for Highway 16.
John,
as far as the transactions for why and this, how come they built it, I have no clue. I mean, I have a clue, but it's just hearsay.
Yeah.
So, John, talk about the part they mentioned it on the Lost Speedway episodes. Maybe you know the origin behind it, but they had the thing that said when the green flag dropped, the bullshit stopped. How true was that back in the day?
That's Ricky.
That was true.
Yeah,
that was very true. You go for it. And, yeah, that's very true.
Crazy stuff. So, John,
crazy.
Talk about those days. I mean, because when you guys came over, you had Bierswell, Eddie Bierswall, as I like to call him, and Slick. I mean, Tommy Davis. I mean, all of these guys that you had. You guys came over there, and man, the speeds were unbelievable. And Greg Davidson. I mean, I think was the first one in the 18s. I mean, you guys come over to this place, and you're just hauling ass out there.
Yep, and at first it was scary.
I bet.
Never went that fast and never, running 70 mile an hour, quarter mile race that weather, and maybe honestly, on the top end. I mean, it's a different story. But like all them guys were awesome, and you had to go there with your guns loaded if you're going to outrun them.
Yeah, that's right.
Tommy Davis, Greg Davis, all them guys. There's so many of them, you can't name them all.
That's right.
And every one of them was a threat, one way or the other. I mean, it's just it's out there. If you got in front, just keep the lead, you did good. And after a period of time of racing, I got to the point where I didn't like it. So I like to run second and third weight. And then by my time, and then pass them.
Yep.
But it was awesome. Yeah, we watched at the Lost Racetrack Speedways. That was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, who was your biggest competitor down there at Highway 16 for the most part before you started traveling back out with TIDA? Was it Rick Rapp or was it somebody else like Slick or somebody that used to give you the biggest headache when you were racing down there?
Well, it seemed like every year was somebody else. Like on a regular program out there, weekly racing, John Meyer was one of them.
That's right.
He was a big threat. Awesome guy. Keith Reesmeyer and all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When he came. When like TIDA, you had David Umshide, and you had Slick Hillman, Greg Davison, Chris Davis. They was all threats. I mean, there's probably more, but I can't think right now. But yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah. So, John, what did you enjoy more back in those days? I mean, TIDA was great. I mean, you won those championships in the late models, but did you like that better or back what you're talking about? You and John Meyer battling down for championships and Scotty Garrett and all these guys. Which was more fun for you, the weekly racing or the TIDA?
That's like two different points. At the time, weekly racing was awesome, because we were right in San Antonio. We didn't have to go maybe 20, 25 miles to the racetrack.
Yep.
As long as we didn't tear nothing up, that was great. But when it turned a little bit more money, we liked every 2-3 weeks TIDA racing.
For sure.
And the traveling more so. Because traveling, you got your motel room and everything else, that costs money.
That's right.
It was all great. There was nothing bad about it, But there's a lot of memories. I remember one time, we went to Altus, Oklahoma, the first or second race they had up there, Altus, on the half-mile track. We left my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like 105 degrees here. We went up there with T-shirts on, and when a blue northern blew in, and it started snowing and sleet up there.
Damn.
And we rode our butts off. But, that's one of the memories,
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that.
Yep. We do now, but at the time we didn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's gone. Yeah. Because it's gone.
Yep,
Yeah, that's right.
it's gone.
Yep.
But even Jay Watson, I don't think I mentioned his name. He was a threat when he came down.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of them.
That's right.
So,
But
John,
what I like about it more than anything, they just saw a green back into the corner in most of these races.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I hate to brag on myself and anything, but I outran them a whole lot more time than they outran me.
Man, you were the guy. I mean, it was so. I mean, I remember back in those San Antonio days, like we talked about before. I mean, you would walk into that place, and there's all these people dressed up in that Kelly green, and they were just like, you would come out, and it's like, okay, here comes Justin Bieber. You know, back in those days. I mean, you were the Justin Bieber of San Antonio Raceway back in those days.
you got to give him. He may not know who Justin Bieber is.
Well, I think he does. He laughed.
It was awesome. It was awesome. But, you know, it's time flies. And I tried to run dirt a little bit. And, I think I quit 2 years ago running dirt.
Smart man.
I never could get that dirt down.
Me either.
Asphalt, you know, you get a little bit of loose, you better look out. Dirt, you got to run loose. I never could get that point down. You know, getting loose and.
Mm-mm.
But it was awesome. It's fun.
Yeah.
But one thing, running dirt, you know, I got a picture of my two nephews and my son and myself running first, second, third, and fourth, a big 8x10 picture that the photographer took. I said, how many people got a picture of their two nephews and son and you on a racetrack at one time? That's friggin' awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great.
So, John, I want to talk about running that blue oval stuff. Obviously, the green cars were badass and they were fast, but you were one of the only guys, even before Slick and them started running them Fords and the Thunderbirds. What was it about running the Fords that made your program that much more special when you were out there beating all the Chevrolets and some of the Pontiacs and Dodges and stuff back in the day?
Well, I always said, you know, Chevrolets made a lot of low-end car. Our little 302 Boss motor with NASCAR aluminum top heads on everything. We made horsepower. The Chevrolets turned their motor maybe 65, 6800. We'd turn that 302 about 84 to 8500.
Damn.
Ooh.
Okay, going in the turn, when you're running 84, 8500, you let off the gas, and the motor kind of slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
When you're running 6,500 RPM, you got to jump on the brakes, slow the car down. We never really used brakes that much when I was 16 because we turned so many RPMs. And that's the difference between the Ford motor and the Chevrolet motor. But now, I mean, back then that's what it was. Now, you know, it's hard to outrun a Chevrolet.
Yeah, yeah. And John, your car, I mean, the 57, I mean, it always had that special sound. I mean, your car, it would come by at San Antonio, and it was always that deep sound. It was like, I mean, you would hear that Ford. Man, it was such a great. I mean, the car looked great. I mean, you always look good out on the racetrack. But man, I just love to hear. I was in love with that car every time it went by, just because of the way it sounded.
Yep, and I think his RPM range was running it at, you know, upstairs quite a bit, and it makes the sound different. I got a couple of all-pro races on video back in '91. We ran all-pro. Same thing too. We built a small motor running in Birmingham, I believe it was, and it had that high pitch to it. And all the Chevrolets, well, me and Jody Ridley's the only one ran Fords, I think, all-pro. Chevrolets come by, they all sound the same. When we come by, there's different pitch in the noise. You know, like you're saying, real deep and strong and. It's just an RPM range, I believe.
That's nice. Now we know the secret.
I love that.
I love the secret with the Ford.
Yep, that's 30 years too late now.
Hey, but at the time, it felt good to be on top, didn't it? I mean, you really were the king of San Antonio. Even one time when you bought a car from Jason Oates and was running weekly series, and it was like it was like one of his old red cars that you painted blue on the roof. And that first night out had a little bit of a blue flame, and all I heard was when the fans were leaving, said, "I bet Kelly won't have that blue flame out of that car next week, and he'll be back up top." And sure enough, that next week they came out, that blue flame was gone, and that car was in front.
Yep. No, I ran that car. That's when they ran NASCAR out there, Sanction NASCAR race. And I finished third in points that year, which that was awesome for a borrowed car that we didn't have nothing to do with other than borrow it and try to set it up a little bit better. But we ran third in points. Mm-hmm. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. So, John, what did you think? I mean, because that was a tough time back there in 88, 89, and whatever it was. We'd had all the late models, TIDA, everything that had been going on. The track was in trouble. Then they go to the Winston Racing Series. Everything kind of shifts. Running the NASCAR late models, that was a definite shift as compared to what we were used to in the past.
Yes, it was. Running a NASCAR rules, so many regulations and everything, and it was a big shift. We ran, I think, that one season with Jason O's car out there. Yep. We kind of faded away from that NASCAR stuff. But, it wasn't going nowhere. It wasn't getting nowhere. It was a good try. The same thing, too, is the money output that for what you receive back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was no different than you gave more, NASCAR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was a racetrack. I mean, we raced.
That's right. That's right. Place was open.
Yep, it was open.
So, John, one of the cars that you had that I liked is when I was growing up and watching racing was that one white car that you had with the green accents. I think you had the orange outline on the numbers on the door. To me, that car was really slick and it was fast. But what was it? Was it just the way that the white bodies were cheaper and it was easier to run it that way? What made you switch to the white car over just the solid green cars you've been running for all those years?
Because you could buy aluminum in colors, so you buy aluminum, put it on white, green, red, whatever. Yep. Back in the early days, we was painting everything. So we just started buying aluminum, and that was a white body style we had. But that's the same car that I run Highway 16 with all them years. We ran that last race for 15 years.
Wow.
Damn.
That's crazy.
And we built one car before that, and I think it was 84 for the 85 season. We ran it 1 year, and then my brother built this other car we ran for 15 years.
Yeah. Man, that's
and
crazy.
I still have both those chassis here at my house.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. The stories those cars could tell.
It'd been different colors. It'd been white. It'd been, you name it, it's been. But it's the same race car, same chassis, and everything.
Yeah. Yep. I need to go see those. That'd be so cool to see.
Yeah. They're stacked up on top of one another, out there in the sticker burrs, but they're still here.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You're welcome anytime you want to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, lastly, asphalt racing is so hard nowadays. I mean, there's so much money involved. What the hell happened here? Because we're seeing dirt track racing. It's doing well, and it's getting out of control too, depending on what you look at. But man, how do we get this thing back to where it's economical and fun for the fans, the drivers, and the families that love doing this?
Well, I always said if you got to have a racetrack, a promoter, an owner with deep pockets that don't care if they lose $100,000 a night. You got to have deep pockets before it'll begin.
Yeah.
You write a set of rules. You don't write the set of rules for the rich boys. You write a set of mediocre rules. These are the rules you run by. If somebody comes up, what happened to the rules in the past? How come we can't run this? How come we can't run that? Sure, y'all can run it. Go ahead. Next thing you know, you're spending money. Well, my racetrack would be I'd pay $10,000 to win, break it on down with 30th place, get $2,000. Money.
Yep.
But if you go across tech, if I say you run a 390 carburetor, you come in there, your carburetor don't meet tech, I'll have a dumpster out there welded up, half full of water. You pull that carburetor off, and you throw it in that dumpster.
Yeah.
And then if you come in, if I say you got Take 355, shit like that. No more than that. You know, when you come in, you got a 377 motor, you pull it out and you throw it in that dumpster. But you can't do that until you go back and get a driver's meet and everybody signs a contract. If their lawyer wants to look at it, if they sign the contract, I will abide by these rules, blah, 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 you know. But you got to pay money. And you got to have deep pockets to pay that. But don't let the rules get out in that field like going out. It's just unreal. You know, when they go to the crate motors, that's wrong because with all the engine builders. You know, when you built a race car and your engine builds up the motor when it's out of race, you did so. Now, you get the same engine everybody else has, supposedly, put in your car and you go race.
Yeah.
If you win, who gets all the the engine builder, which builds everybody else's engines. You just got to write a good set of rules and have deep pockets and pay good money.
My man.
And we always said too, you know, like my brother and I, Robert, we talk quite a bit, you know, in the day, you know, this is hindsight now. If we'd had a shop, if a guy came out to the racetrack and couldn't get out of his own way, go, hey man, bring parts to the house over here to the garage. Let us set it up for you. We'll get you, you know, handle it a little bit better.
Right,
Help
right.
these guys, you know, and just don't let them go out there and crash you and half the other field. Go out there and try to help them.
That's right.
And that would have made a little bit of difference.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's all hindsight.
Yeah, it's old school.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, old school. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's the way it should be.
Yep, and it's just too much money involved now.
So speaking of money, we can't let you go. We got John Jr. wants us to ask you about the time that you guys are running I-37 with himself and Jason, and you guys all spun out at the same time, but you never touched each other. So we can't let you go without asking your opinion of that one.
My youngest son was in front of me. I was running second. My oldest son behind me. My youngest son still today said, I bumped him and spun him. I never touched him. But anyhow, we did a solo stand. We fired up. We got back on the racetrack at the same time. We never got a lap. We never crashed. And if the announcer out there would have picked up on that at the time, it'd have been awesome, you know. But yeah, we all three made a solo stand. We bumped the bumper, you know, and fired back up, got going again. But I never bumped my son.
I love it. I love it. That is a race car driver right there. That is a race car driver right there. John Kelly.
If I did, I'll never admit to it.
Yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part. John, thanks so much, man. Thanks for growing. Man, you helped raise me watching that 57 out there, and always a pleasure to talk to you, man. And thanks for jumping on this anniversary show. I mean, you're a part of history right here. So, dude, this is so awesome.
Think of anniversaries. My wife and I will be married 50 years come Friday.
50.
Ooh, 50.
Ooh, 50. That
I was happy with 15.
Through all of these years of racing. Through all of these years of racing. Wow.
Yep, awesome. She's an awesome woman.
Yeah, got to be to put up with all you crazy ass people.
But before we hang up, I want to thank my son, John and Jason, you know, for putting this on. And I appreciate you guys calling. And anytime you want to come out and look at Sue chassis and everything else I got, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely. Love to take you up on that, John. Again, thanks for taking the time. And what a pleasure. What a pleasure, man.
Okay. Well, let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. John, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Right. We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. John Kelly wants us to go see his chassis.
I know, right?
Again.
That's right. He told us last time we never did make it down there, but now it's like that's one of the, if they ever made a Texas short track racing Hall of Fame, that chassis is one of the chassis that needs to be in that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that 57. Yeah, because these guys, I mean, it was homegrown. I mean, these guys did everything homegrown, and that was so unheard of, even at that time, because that's when you had the Ed Howe chassis and all these different, Bob chassis, all this different, whatever was going on at the time. These guys, they did it on their own. Mm-hmm. On their own. It's crazy. And they were so freaking good. Nobody could beat them.
They were just so fast.
At that track.
Yeah, I mean, they were unbeatable at San Antonio.
At that track. It's one thing, being at Austin. I mean, no offense to Speedorama, but, man, at that half-mile high bank, to not be able to beat these guys in their own thing. I mean, what a great conversation. I love me some John Kelly. Oh, man, one of the best ever.
Yep. Just doing some.
Okay.
Doing some confirmation.
Stalling. Okay, yeah. It is the 5th anniversary show of the Revved Up Sports Show, and it's been a great run. I mean, talking to John Melise tonight. I mean, John, and again, John is so, great influence on putting this thing together. I mean, because I can tell you one thing, he taught me how to run all this shit, so that's one thing. But he was the one that really put the show together at Kyle and Houston and Corpus, all the different places that we got to do this. But talking to Howard Willis and just all these guys, I mean, what a night. What a night as we celebrate 5 years of just greatness. And talking to the legends, and now we're going back to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline one more time.
And actually, it's a good time to talk. Oh, did you press the wrong button? After talking about all the good stuff. All right, I'll go back and talk about John.
Try it again.
Because we love... we got him back?
Of course.
So as we talked about all the different legends, we like having big money winners on here. And the guy we're about to have on the show again just won a boatload of cash at Texas Motor Speedway in the Dirt Track Championship. The one, the only, the Magic Man, Kel Westover, is calling in again.
Call from Cale Westover.
Of course.
Yeah. Now we got him. The man, the myth, the legend, Kel Westover. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. How's it going, dude?
Man, it's good. How you guys doing?
We all right. I mean, we're not doing as good as you in the pocketbook. Just how much? We know you won the big $25,000 check, but how much money did you take home from TMS over the course of 4 or 5 days?
A little shy of 29,000.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
It'd been a little more if I kind of gave up on a restart there. Chose the top. And I don't like settling for second, and chose the top. Wanted to try to get a run on Rodney, and gave up second, ended up third on Saturday, but we didn't tear nothing up. So all in all, it was a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cale, how cool is it to get to go run on that track? I mean, it's TMS. There's a lot of attention focused on that. To get to go out there and run that, marquee event right there, man, that's got to be one of those that you'll notch that in your hat and say, man, I won a badass event.
Yeah, that place is awesome. And now that XR's got it, man, they've really just stepped up everything. I think it's always kind of lacked promotion and stuff, and TMS has just always been TMS, and the prestige of the place has always been awesome. But there's never been a 25,000 win mod race there, so that's what made it so big for me. Is I feel like I've won the biggest mod race ever at TMS.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely you did. So talk about the progression of your week. You won a couple of preliminary events from what I can remember watching it on Facebook leading up to that big one. But talk about your week overall. It looked like you had a little success in a couple of different cars, the big mod and the sport mod.
Yeah, it was really good, man. Rodney been wearing us out, through the whole Monday series deal. And, man, we kept working, and finally I knew I was close on something, and we kind of tweaked on it and got there Thursday, and Wednesday I ran second in the mod, and I won the sport mod deal, and Thursday I tweaked on it a little more and found what I liked, and I knew I was going to be there Friday. I just needed to put it all together. I've had a good car, for the past couple months. It's just been putting the whole thing together, and really I think the struggles we've had for the past month and a half has really just prepared me on getting that deal finally put together.
Yeah, for sure. So, Cale, talk about, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is folks talk about track prep all the time. With the weekly tracks, it's like, yeah, the track prep sucked or whatever. Talk about the track prep that goes into TMS. How great are those racetracks out there?
Man, it's them guys take care of it. I really wish they would. Through the whole Monday series, the corners. I'm I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. It had rained like crazy, and they came and mixed something in the dirt to try to help dry it out. And ever since, it's been super abrasive when it dries. So it goes from real heavy to a real abrasive in no time. And these guys are really good at preventing it for a lot of time, but it always gets abrasive no matter what. So them guys, man, they are the best at the track prep. They know as soon as it latches up, they know when it's getting abrasive, and they go out there and work it. But, going forward, I hope they, I talked to Barry Braun, the owner of the whole promotion of XR, and that guy works so good with racers. He understands, and, he's one of the only guys right now that's putting out the money for the racers. And, man, they're going to go try to fix the track over the winter and have it even better for 2022.
Love it.
So talk about that Monday series. It seemed odd to me that they were going to, it seemed like you weren't going to get a lot of return from your fan count. Obviously, there's a few fans in there for Monday for what it was and the night that it was. But how different was that to race on a Monday? Did you have to change your program a lot to try to run the Monday series, or was it just an extra day of racing for you?
Yeah, really, honestly, it kind of worked out for me. I've been working for a company for 10 years, and come April, I got laid off. So it was actually kind of one of them deals that I was available to race on Mondays. So we kind of chased that deal, and, it just kind of played. But the Monday deal, obviously the fan count was low, but XR has a big following on their streaming service. And from the way I understood, they had a lot more viewers on Mondays than they did on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, if it's the only game in town on Mondays, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they generate a lot of revenue. They generate a lot of revenue with their subscribers on that Monday stuff. So that is the good thing about the Texas series. I know a lot of people look up in the stands and say, man, there's no way these people are making money. But 9 times out of 10, anybody else that's ever brought or promoted there at TMS has to bring somebody else in with their streaming service, where Barry, owns the streaming service, and, he's the one promoting. So he has a little better vision on business, and, man, I think it's going to work out great for him.
Yeah. And seriously, I mean, Cale, how big is it? I mean, when you want to talk about big balls, I mean, that's a big balls move to try to run, midweek races. I mean, whatever it may be in that market. I mean, it takes a lot to try to get that done. And again, yeah, maybe it struggled, but I think it's a great move going forward.
Yeah. And like Barry, I'd seen on a post, he said, it's an investment because, TMS has had so many, different opinions on it from previous promoters and whatnot, and it's going to take some time to build the place back up and get it back to where TMS was in 2014 and 2015 and so on. And I think Barry's definitely the perfect guy to get that place going. He's really good for the racer. I can personally say that. He's very good at listening to what the racer has to say. Obviously, look at the money he's offering. He never once said, "Hey, you guys only had a certain amount of cars. It's only going to be 10,000 to win." He posted it was 25,000 to win for first and 10,000 for second. He said there's only 2 cars that showed up. So be it.
Yep,
it's pretty cool in these days.
And there's not many promoters nowadays that would honor that.
That's right.
Yeah, no, not very many. Let's talk about your 2 programs you got rolling with your Sport Mod and your Big Mod. Obviously, the TMS is not the first races that you've won so far this year. Or you went on a fairly consistent basis, as I was trying to say. But talk about your 2 programs. I know you got a bunch of people involved in both. You got to run one for somebody at TMS, and then just talk about your cars that you've been running so far this year.
Yeah, so I've got my Outlaw Mod that I've been running a ton. I think I'm sitting at 12 regular wins now, 14 after the TMS deal. So it's been a really good season. Initially we were going to chase the USMTS Rookie of the Year deal, and man, with me getting laid off, my budget definitely wouldn't allow that to get on the road that much.
Yeah.
So then our initial deal was to go check out the USRA national points because I could kind of run local. And this TMS deal kind of popped up, and it was a 10-race series. And, there's no way that anybody else could match this series. You know, the kit race series paying $2,500 a night and then $25,000. That's why we decided to do it. So kind of pulled off the USRA deal a little bit here at the end of the year with my mod deal and kind of focused on this Texas Motor Speedway deal. The sport mod, I actually do not own a sport mod anymore. You know, I just had a newborn in June, so it's going to be a little tough taking care of 2 cars, you know, while having a newborn. So I actually got rid of mine and got a phone call from Gary Jennings, and he offered his ride to me. It's a very nice piece, man. And I hopped in it, didn't hardly make any changes, man, and it was pretty good all week there at TMS. So may get to work with him in the future. You know, I'd love to.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is, and congratulations. I mean, that little one, that's important right there. So, your thoughts? I mean, we talk about the cost of racing. I mean, dirt track racing is getting pricey, man. But again, you got big shows like what we saw at TMS. I mean, your thought, the future of dirt track racing. I mean, everything's going to continue moving forward, I would think.
Yeah, you know, it's getting outpriced. You know, I'm definitely one of the guys that's underfunded on a budget, you know, compared to a lot of these guys.
Yep.
You know, and no names being said, but I know guys, you know, when we were running Sunday and Monday on TMS, they were going, you know, 8 tires. They would, you know, bolt a new set on each night, you know, and I literally ran 3 tires, you know, compared to these guys as 8, you know. And, you know, it's not just one guy, it's multiples. You know, these guys that got the funds, you know, so it makes it tough on a weekly racer. You know, I call myself more of a regional guy.
Right.
But it makes it tough, you know, and I know there's a ton of cars in Dallas, you know, that did not race that deal. And, you know, I know that's why, you know, it's getting expensive and it's hard for a local or regional racer to feel like they have a chance to keep up with the way the prices are just going up on these race cars. You know, I know Curtis Allen with Western Flyer that builds mine. You get a full roller modified, you know, in the early 2000s for about $8,000. And now they're in the, you know, the $40,000, $35,000 to $40,000 price range. You know, that's crazy. No motor, no transmission.
Yeah. Man.
You know, that's a roll cage. So, man, trust me, it's getting crazy. And that's all there is to it. And, you know, the only reason why I run a mod is, you know, there's enough money to go around to keep me afloat and to keep me even. You know, none of us really make money racing, but as long as I can keep paying for my stuff and not be out a whole lot of the pocket, you know, I love doing it, and it's a passion of mine.
Yes, sir.
So, Kel, let's talk about the modifieds as a whole. Obviously, you got an outlaw mod, but you keep track of this stuff with the IMCA mods and some of the big mod stuff. It looked like it was dropping off there for a while because it was getting a little expensive, and you saw people dropping down into sport mods, and hell, a lot of guys bumping into factory stocks now, which we just had a conversation about those being so expensive. But where's the state of the mods? Or is it still dropping off the map because it's too expensive, or are they starting to come back in your mind a little bit more?
You know, actually, around here, it's kind of picked up. The sport mods has actually dropped off around here. And really, the sport mods has actually kind of just dropped off in general. You know, in 2018, I won, I think, 9 big shows, which was $2,500 to win or more. And there was a lot of shows that offered over $2,500 to win, which is what I consider a big show.
Right.
And I would say there's probably 15 to 20 of them, you know, in 2018 and 2019. And I don't know if it's COVID or what in 2020, but now, you know, I think there's only been a handful of big paying races. So I know a lot of people are actually getting out of the sport mods and back into mod stuff, whether it be IMCA or USRA or Outlaw Modified, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But, man, I see it picking up down you guys' direction, and that's awesome on the IMCA stuff. I think the IMCA stuff isn't a bad route. It's definitely a lot more affordable with the crate motor and whatnot. So maybe it'll continue to pick up over there. I actually got a IMCA modified we've been putting together, and
nice.
I'm looking to get in it and make some laps here pretty quick with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Cale, your thoughts on these factory stocks? I mean, because we keep seeing this. I mean, it's a thing where folks are gravitating over, and I mean, it's a great class. But again, they're getting awful damn pricey also.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Especially for what they are. I know a lot of these guys. I know how much time goes into a race car. I've built them. I mean, we're like I said, I'm a budget racer. I build what I can. We fabricate a lot of our own stuff. So, I understand that these guys are getting time in it, but at the same time, there's really not anything special about the factory stock. So, man, it's crazy. It's getting out of hand like the Sport Mod deal was. For sure. And now the motor rules, they're changing those next year. They're starting to let them run aftermarket parts in the motors, cranks, rods, and so they're just driving the price up even more and more. I about croaked when I saw one of those factory stocks race ready for $30,000.
Yeah,
yeah. That is absolutely insane for a car with a stock crank and stock rods. And cast pistons. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But they're offering a lot of money. So I know that's why a lot of people, a lot of guys like chasing money in big shows, and I get it. I do the same, but there's definitely no way I'm gonna be $30,000 in a car with a stock crank, stock rods, and cast pistons. That's just not happening.
No shit on that.
Oh, see, I picture you more, selling all your mod stuff, trying to get you one of those little factory stocks and winning $10,000 to win or whatever. Yeah, that's exactly what I think about when I think of Kel Westover moving down a class. But talk about the regional stuff in terms of it. We talked about it just now, getting a little bigger and bigger. What do you think? Is it the economy getting a little bit better on those, or is it really just because a lot of guys are getting back in from the sport mods? Because you kind of see the sport mods splitting to going down to factory stocks, and it seems like there are a lot of sport mod guys transitioning up to these bigger cars, and it looks like that's good. Rising tide raises all boats, right? If the local stuff is getting bigger, then some of this touring stuff will probably get a little bigger.
Yeah, the modified deal around here is growing because a lot of the racers are the ones that are putting together these series.
Yeah.
And they're the ones going out hustling these sponsors and stuff and making it to where we're, the regional stuff around here is $2,000 a win every, a weekend. And it's not some, Joe Blow off the street going out and getting these sponsors and making these series. It's actually racers that had called me and said, "Hey, we're looking at putting the series together. No, we're not going to run it. We're going to have somebody a head guy. We're going to have a tech guy, and we just want to make it where we can all go run somewhere and run for a decent amount of money."
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes this modified deal fun. You can, I've been tore up this year. I mean, there's no doubt it's not any worse than I'd have got tore up in a sport mod. And this mod deal, it's just so much easier. You get so much more respect on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in pretty expensive pieces, and nobody wants to tear them up. So that's why I personally like the mod deal. And like I said, a lot of the racers in the mod deal are actually going out and making this stuff happen. That's what's more important to me is, a lot of the racers are actually stepping up and making this happen.
Yeah, I love that.
We get into a lot of these series, and it's not about the racing. And that's when you start running some of these series, you find that out that they don't give a shit about you. They just they want to run their series and make whatever they can off of it, and send you down the road. And that's all there is to it on that deal. And everything is coming back around to where it's actually kind of benefiting the racer a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, to me, the modified, that is the one. I mean, that is the staple. I mean, factory stocks are great. I mean, I love the stock cars, but I mean, to me, the modifieds, I mean, that's what it's all about, and I love that. So, for you, rest of the year, what you got on schedule, man?
Man, I had big aspirations. Now I've hit this 25,000. I've been thinking about sitting at home and chilling.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm not the type to sit at home. I've got I was going to go down to Lubbock this weekend. They had a $1,500 to win modified deal, but we're going to stay local. We'll be at Lawton Speedway this weekend. They've got their Winter Nationals. We're going to go check that out. In the next couple of weeks, there's a Tom's deal. They pay $1,500 to win. Any type of big show, man, we're looking at hitting. We're going to be at the USRA Nationals in Missouri beginning of October. Man, we love to race. We love to race the big shows, and that's where we're going to head for the rest of the year and see what we can do. Maybe knock off a couple more big wins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That sounds like a plan, buddy. I know it was short notice getting you on the show, but I appreciate you making some time for us tonight, man. I just wanted to make sure we got
anytime,
you
man.
the recognition you deserve for getting that big money up at TMS.
Yeah, man. I feel like I was a pretty big underdog going into that deal, and
yeah.
We should have been. Like I said, Rodney probably won 75% of those races, and he's a deserving guy. He's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever raced with. I'm pretty good friends with Rodney, and man, he never he helps me all the time, never turns me away. So hats off to those guys. His crew guys, man, they're all Antoine. They're great people. Like I said, he wore us out all year, and man, it was good to knock him off the top for at least one race.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff, man.
Whether it been the 25,000 or 7,500,
does not matter, my man.
Yeah, I wanted to win. Man, I love winning, and I'm super competitive. So it's just one of those things. I hate finishing second, but when you're racing against a caliber guy like Rodney, it's a lot of the times expected by everybody.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff, dude.
All right, man. Well, go enjoy that newborn and maybe spend a little bit of money on your better half there, because remember, the happy spouse runs the house. You know what I mean?
A nice dinner, maybe a nice dinner.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, man. Take care, Kale.
All right, we'll see you.
You bet. There he is. Happy guy.
Happy. I have 25,000 reasons to be happy, man. I'm telling you.
But, that's the funny thing when we talk about, when we talk to Jake Wright, he's like, well, I won 10,000, but we spent whatever. So, anyway, it's all good.
That's a lot of extra coin going into that USRA Nationals, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Seriously, the modifieds, how cool are those? That's what it's all about.
They got a specific sound about them that just make them badass,
dude,
right?
And when those cars, when they go and they lay over on the side and all that, that is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
I just love that. Good night. Flowers, the 5.
The 5.
Got everything up here.
I know. Only drawback is we don't have a Saturday show this week because the Texas Tech game kicks early.
Stupid Texas Tech. Or the week after. TCU, 11 o'clock also.
Oh, is it that far?
And Texas OU is probably going to be the next week, too. So,
yeah, probably. It'll be a couple of weeks for you guys to hear us on the horn.
But. Yeah, so that's okay. But we'll make up for it online. But, 5 years, and again, a great night tonight, talking to Howard and John Kelly and then Cale right there. It's been fun. It's been a good run. Not like we're quitting, but, we started out with little, and we're doing okay.
Yeah, we still don't have a lot, but we got a lot more. We got a lot more than we had on that first episode.
Well,
so.
that's the whole thing. People. I talk to a lot of people, and they think it's a big old extravagant thing, but it's really not. But it looks like it, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, we got some people fooled, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we can always make an advertising plan that works for you on a budget that works for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been a great 5-year anniversary show. 823, man. We exceeded expectations.
Yeah, we did.
Here. Way long, but that's okay. People hung around and listened.
That's right. We'll get all this stuff podcasted up for you. Normally, you can check out all the archives, revvedsportshow.com, revvedsportshow.tv. It'll take you off to the YouTube page, realracetalk.com, #RealRaceTalk. That's all the good stuff. Catch our replays on the horn. At hornfm.com. Who else am I forgetting? That's all of it, isn't it?
There's one more. RevvedUpRadio.com.
RevvedUpRadio.com. There it is.
Yeah. 5 years, bitches. And here's to 5 more. Well, at least one more.
At least one more.
And we'll be at a racetrack soon.
That's right. We'll probably be at a racetrack this weekend. So listen
right.
for us. Say hello.
That's right. Thank you, Howard Willis. Thank you, John Kelly. Thank you, Cale Westover. Thank you, Bobby Chaffee. Thank you, all the dogs. Thank you to my wife for bringing all this fancy stuff in here for a great 5-year anniversary show. We'll be back.
got to thank my wife too. She takes care of the dogs when I work from the home studio. So sometimes that could be a handful. So thank you, baby, for taking care of those crazy little animals when I'm out and about trying to work from the home studio. So
back next Monday. It is #Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show from